The night shift at NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Sarah Chen, the lead communications officer, was sipping her third cup of coffee when the first signal came through. At first, she thought it was just another space anomaly, the kind they logged dozens of times each night. But this was different. "Dr. Miller," she called out, her eyes fixed on the screen. "You need to see this." The old scientist hurried over, his white lab coat swishing as he moved. The signal patterns on the screen pulsed with an unfamiliar rhythm, too regular to be natural, too complex to be human-made. "Run it through the decoder," Dr. Miller ordered, his voice trembling with excitement. The computer worked for several minutes, processing the strange transmission. When the results appeared, both scientists stared in disbelief. It was a distress call, not from any Earth vessel, but from somewhere deep in space. Within hours, the UN Space Command's Emergency Council gathered in New York. Representatives from every major space agency sat around a massive oval table, their faces illuminated by the holographic display showing the signal's origin. Admiral James Wong stood at the head of the table, his weathered face serious. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we're looking at is unprecedented. The signal contains mathematical sequences that prove it's artificial, but it's using technology we've never seen before." Dr. Miller, who had flown in from NASA, stepped forward. "The message indicates a fleet of approximately 300 ships is stranded in the Kuiper Belt. They're caught in what appears to be a massive solar radiation storm. And," he paused, adjusting his glasses, "they're carrying roughly 50,000 civilian refugees." The room erupted in whispers and exclamations. Admiral Wong raised his hand for silence. "From what we can decode," Dr. Miller continued, "these refugees are fleeing from some kind of interstellar conflict. Their ship's protective systems are failing. Without immediate assistance, they estimate total system failure within 2 Earth weeks." The Russian space director, Dr. Petrova, spoke up. "How can we be sure this isn't a trap? We've never encountered alien life before." The signal includes detailed technical data about their situation, Sarah Chen explained, pointing to the holographic display. "Our scientists have verified the radiation patterns they're describing. The threat is real." The Chinese representative leaned forward. "Even if we wanted to help, do we have the capability? These are obviously beings with technology far beyond ours." Admiral Wong smiled slightly. "Maybe not. Our ships might be less advanced, but they're built to withstand solar radiation. Our shielding technology, while simpler than theirs, might be exactly what they need." The UN Secretary General, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. "We have a choice to make. We can ignore this call for help, citing our own limitations, or we can show the universe that humanity, despite being a young spacefaring species, has the courage and compassion to help those in need." The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled over them. This wasn't just about saving lives. It was humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Admiral Wong straightened his uniform. "I propose we launch an immediate rescue mission. We can have 5 of our most advanced ships ready within 48 hours. The vote was unanimous. As the council members filed out to begin preparations, Sarah Chen stayed behind, staring at the pulsing signal on the display. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien refugees were waiting for help, not knowing that their salvation would come from a species they'd probably considered primitive. Dr. Miller joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Interesting times ahead, Ms. Chen." She nodded, watching as the signal continued its steady rhythm. "Do you think we're ready for this?" "Ready or not," he replied with a slight smile, "history won't wait." Humanity just took its first step onto the galactic stage. Outside the UN building, news crews were already gathering. By morning, every human on Earth would know. We are not alone, and our first act as a galactic civilization would be one of rescue and hope. The 5 Earth rescue ships cut through the darkness of space, their nuclear engines glowing bright against the star-filled background. The lead vessel, named Hope, carried Admiral Wong, and a mixed crew of the world's best engineers and scientists. Sarah Chen sat at the communication station, monitoring for any new signals from the alien fleet. Distance to target, 30 minutes, announced Captain Rodriguez from the pilot's seat. The crew felt the tension growing with each passing moment. Through the main viewport, they could finally see them. Hundreds of massive ships, their sleek designs unlike anything humans had ever built. The alien vessels were each the size of small cities, their hulls shimmering with a strange metallic blue color. But even from this distance, the crew could see the damage. Many ships had visible cracks in their hulls, while others drifted without power. "This is Admiral James Wong of the Earth Rescue Fleet." Sarah broadcast the message in all known frequencies. "We received your distress signal and are here to help." For several long minutes, there was only silence. Then suddenly, the main screen lit up. The crew gasped. Standing before them was a tall, elegant being with silvery skin and large, expressive eyes. Though clearly alien, there was something almost graceful about its appearance. "I am High Commander 6L of the Arcturian Refugee Fleet." The alien spoke, its words automatically translated by the computer. You are from Earth." The young species. Admiral Wong stepped forward. "Yes, we are. We've brought ships and engineers to assist with your situation." The alien commander's expression showed what seemed to be disbelief. But your species only achieved spaceflight less than 100 years ago. How could you possibly help us? Our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours." Instead of answering, Admiral Wong sent over their scan data. "Your ship's radiation shielding is failing. While our technology might be younger, we've specialized in dealing with solar radiation. We think we can help." The alien commander studied the data, its large eyes widening. "This is remarkable. Your shielding designs are different, but they might actually work better in these conditions. However, we have over 50,000 civilians at risk. Can your small fleet really help so many? We're willing to try." Sarah spoke up, earning a nod from Admiral Wong. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. Over the next few hours, Earth's engineers boarded the closest alien ship. Dr. Miller led the technical team, carrying equipment that looked primitive compared to the alien technology. The Arcturians watched with a mixture of curiosity and doubt as the humans began their work. "Your methods are unusual," one alien engineer commented, watching Dr. Miller install a basic radiation shield. "We would never have thought to use such simple materials." Dr. Miller smiled as he worked. "Sometimes being new to space travel has its advantages. We had to find creative solutions with limited resources." The first test results came in quickly. The human shielding technology, while less advanced, was actually more effective against the specific type of radiation in this region of space. The Arcturians were amazed. "It seems we were wrong about Earth," High Commander 6L told Admiral Wong as they watched the repair teams work. "We thought your species too young to be of help. We were wrong." "Age doesn't always equal wisdom," Admiral Wong replied. "Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions that others might miss." As the first day of work ended, both humans and aliens felt a new sense of hope. Earth's rescue ships might have looked small and primitive next to the massive alien fleet, but they had already proven their worth. Sarah Chen, watching from her station, saw something remarkable happening. The barriers between two very different civilizations were starting to break down, brought together by a simple truth. Sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places. "Ready to start the full evacuation plan?" Admiral Wong asked the alien commander. 6L nodded, a gesture they had quickly learned from the humans. "We are ready. And thank you. Perhaps we have much to learn from Earth after all." Dr. Miller stood in the engine room of the largest alien ship, his tablet computer looking like a child's toy compared to the advanced Arcturian technology surrounding him. But the numbers on his screen told an interesting story. "Look at these readings," he said to Chief Engineer Petal from the Indian Space Agency. Their ships are incredibly advanced, but their radiation shielding has a fundamental weakness. The massive engine core of the alien vessel pulsed with a soft blue light. Around them, a team of human and Arcturian engineers worked together, their initial awkwardness slowly turning into genuine cooperation. "It's like comparing a diamond to steel," Paddle explained to the curious alien engineers. "Your technology is more advanced, like a diamond, beautiful, powerful, and perfect in normal conditions. But our shielding is like steel, simpler, but more flexible and sometimes stronger under specific pressures." The alien chief engineer, Vic Snar, moved closer to examine the human designs. Its silver skin reflected the engine room's lights as it studied the simple diagrams. "These designs," Vic Snar's translator crackled, "they're so basic that we never considered them. We always sought more complex solutions." Sarah Chen, who had joined the engineering team, smiled. "Sometimes the old ways work best. Earth's first nuclear submarines taught us a lot about radiation shielding. We've been improving those designs for over a century." The next few hours proved her right. The human engineering team installed their radiation shields on 3 key points of the alien vessel. The results were immediate. Radiation levels dropped by 60%. "Impossible," Vic Snar exclaimed, checking and rechecking the readings. "How can such primitive technology work so well?" Admiral Wong, watching from the command center, shared a knowing look with Commander Zixel. "It's not about how advanced the technology is," he said. "It's about having the right tool for the right job." But the real breakthrough came when young engineer Lai from the Chinese Space Agency made an unexpected discovery. He found that combining human shield designs with Arcturian power systems created an even better solution. "Look," Lai pointed excitedly at the test results. "If we use your power distribution network to enhance our shields, we can protect the entire fleet with 30% less equipment." The command center burst into activity. Human and alien engineers huddled around displays, combining their knowledge in ways neither species had imagined possible. Dr. Miller watched with pride as his team worked seamlessly with their alien counterparts. "We never expected this," Commander Zixel admitted to Admiral Wong. "Our people thought we would teach you, but instead, we're learning from each other." Sarah noticed something else interesting. The Arcturian refugees, originally fearful of the primitive human rescuers, now watched them with hope and curiosity. Some even started learning simple English phrases to communicate with the human engineers. "Your species is full of surprises," Vic Snar told Dr. Miller as they finished installing the hybrid shield system. "You solve problems in ways we would never think of." Dr. Miller wiped sweat from his forehead. "That's because we had to. Earth's history taught us that sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." By the end of the day, the combined human-alien team had protected 20 ships with the new hybrid shields. The success was greater than anyone had hoped for. "At this rate," Sarah calculated, "we can shield the entire fleet before the radiation storm hits." Admiral Wong nodded, looking out at the vast array of ships. "Today proved something important. Humanity might be young in space, but we've earned our place among the stars." As the Earth Rescue Fleet prepared for the next day's work, both humans and Arcturians felt a new sense of respect for each other. Sometimes the greatest advantage wasn't having the most advanced technology. It was having the wisdom to see solutions others might miss. The stars shone brightly through the ship's windows, witnessing this unique moment in history. The day when humanity proved that being young in the galaxy didn't mean being helpless. The massive evacuation began at Earth's dawn. Captain Rodriguez watched from Hope's Bridge as dozens of transport ships moved between the damaged alien vessels. Time was running out. The radiation storm was approaching faster than expected. "Status report," Admiral Wong called out, his usual calm voice showing hints of stress. Sarah Chen checked her displays. "We've evacuated 12,000 refugees so far, 38,000 still remaining." She paused, looking at another screen. "Sir, the radiation levels are rising faster than predicted." Across the fleet, human and Arcturian crews worked tirelessly. The Earth ships, though small compared to the alien vessels, proved surprisingly efficient at rescue operations. Dr. Miller's voice crackled over the radio from one of the damaged ships. "We've got a problem here. The power core in Ship 17 is becoming unstable. We need immediate evacuation." Moving to assist, Captain Rodriguez responded, guiding Hope toward the troubled vessel. Through the view screen, they could see the huge alien ship's hull glowing in dangerous red color. Inside Ship 17, chaos ruled. Arcturian families rushed toward the evacuation points, carrying whatever belongings they could. Human rescue teams, wearing their bulky radiation suits, guided them toward safety. Engineer Patel ran through the corridors, checking his radiation meter. "This section needs to be cleared now," he shouted. Behind him, young Engineer Lai helped an elderly Arcturian who was struggling to walk. "We're not leaving anyone behind," Lai said firmly, supporting the alien as they moved toward the escape pods. On Hope's bridge, Sarah monitored the evacuation progress. Ship 17's power core is reaching critical levels. "We have 10 minutes maximum." Admiral Wong turned to Commander Zixel. "We need to speed this up. Can your people use their teleportation technology?" The alien commander shook his head sadly. "The radiation is interfering with our advanced systems. We must rely on your traditional methods." Captain Rodriguez made a quick decision. "We'll dock directly with their main airlock. It's risky, but it's faster than using the small transport ships." The massive human vessel moved carefully alongside Ship 17. The docking procedure was dangerous. One wrong move could damage both ships. But Rodriguez's skilled hands guided Hope perfectly into position. "Docking complete," Sarah announced, beginning mass evacuation. Through the connected airlocks, hundreds of Arcturian refugees poured into Hope. Human crew members directed them to emergency shelter areas that had been quickly set up in the cargo holds. Dr. Miller's voice came through again, more urgent now. "Power core temperature still rising. We've got 7 minutes at most." In the crowded corridors of Ship 17, Engineer Lai and Patel worked their way through the last sections. "Final sweep complete," Patel reported. "Wait, I'm picking up life signs in the engine room." They found 2 Arcturian engineers still trying to stabilize the power core. "You must leave now," Lai shouted, grabbing one of them by the arm. "This ship is lost." The aliens reluctantly followed them, abandoning their dying ship. Behind them, warning lights flashed and alarms blared in multiple languages. "All personnel, clear the ship immediately," Admiral Wong's voice boomed through the comm system. "That's an order." The last group sprinted through the airlock just as the power core reached critical levels. Captain Rodriguez immediately disconnected from Ship 17 and pushed Hope's engines to full power, creating distance from the failing vessel. Through the viewport, they watched as Ship 17's power core finally gave out. The massive vessel's hull cracked, releasing a brilliant burst of energy into space. The blast wave rocked Hope, but the human ship's shields held firm. Sarah checked her screens once the chaos settled. All refugees from Ship 17 accounted for. No casualties. A collective sigh of relief filled the bridge. But their celebration was short-lived as new alarms started blaring. "Sir," Sarah's voice was tense. "The radiation storm. It's accelerating. At this rate, we have less than 12 hours to evacuate the remaining refugees." Admiral Wong straightened his uniform. "Then we better work faster. We didn't come this far to fail now." As emergency signals flashed across the fleet, both humans and Arcturians prepared for an even greater challenge. The real test of Operation Safeguard was just beginning. No one saw the radiation wave coming until it was almost too late. Sarah Chen was the first to notice the unusual readings on her monitor. "Admiral," she shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. Massive radiation surge approaching from the outer belt. Admiral Wong rushed to her station, his face growing pale as he saw the data. The storm they'd been watching had collided with another solar event, creating something far more dangerous. All ships, Emergency Protocol Alpha. He commanded through the fleet-wide channel. The storm has changed course. Impact in 20 minutes. Across the rescue zone, chaos erupted. 5 human ships and 15 Arcturian vessels were caught in the danger zone, still transferring refugees from the damaged fleet. Dr. Miller's voice crackled through the comm from one of the stranded Arcturian ships. "We've got 2,000 refugees here. The engines won't start. Hope can't reach them in time." Captain Rodriguez reported grimly. "The radiation will hit them first." Commander Zixel stepped forward, his silver skin reflecting the emergency lights. "Our shields won't withstand this level of radiation. Those people will die." Engineer Lai, who had been quietly working at his station, suddenly spoke up. "Maybe not. What if we create a radiation shield wall?" All eyes turned to him. He quickly explained, pulling up a diagram on the main screen. "We can link the human ships in a line, combine our shield power, and create a protective barrier for the evacuation zone." "That's insane," Captain Rodriguez said. "The stress on our ship's systems would be enormous." "But it could work," Engineer Patel added, running calculations on his tablet. "If we modify the shield harmonics and link them together." Admiral Wong made his decision. "Do it. We didn't come this far to lose anyone now." The next 15 minutes were a blur of activity. The 5 Earth ships moved into position, forming a line between the approaching storm and the stranded vessels. Engineers worked frantically to link their shield systems. "Radiation wave approaching," Sarah announced. "Impact in 5 minutes." On the stranded Arcturian ship, Dr. Miller and his team raced to evacuate as many refugees as possible. "The emergency transporters are working at maximum capacity," he reported. "But we still have hundreds of people here." The first waves of radiation hit the human shield wall. The ships groaned under the strain, their linked shields glowing bright blue against the golden storm. "Shield power at 80% and dropping," Sarah called out. "The radiation is stronger than we anticipated." Inside Hope's engine room, Engineer Lai and Paddle fought to maintain the shield link. Sparks flew from overloading circuits as they rerouted power from every available system. "Divert power from life support if you have to," Admiral Wong ordered. "Those shields must hold." Commander Zixel watched in amazement as the human ships held their position, their crews risking everything to protect his people. It was a level of sacrifice his species hadn't seen in centuries. "Shield power at 40%. Sarah's voice was tense. "We can't hold much longer." Just then, Dr. Miller's voice came through. "Last refugee transported. The ship is clear." But their troubles weren't over. The radiation storm had trapped them in position. If any ship moved now, it would break the shield wall and expose the entire fleet to lethal radiation. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump," Admiral Wong commanded. "We'll have to move as one unit." The linked human vessels, their shields still holding against the storm, began a carefully coordinated maneuver. Moving in perfect sync, they slowly pushed back, guiding the rescued ships to safety. "Shield power at 15%. Sarah watched the numbers drop. 10%. 5. The ships cleared the radiation zone, just as their shields failed completely. Behind them, the storm raged harmlessly through empty space. In the sudden quiet that followed, Admiral Wong turned to Commander Zixel. "Damage report." The alien commander checked his data pad, his large eyes widening. Against all odds, everyone survived. Sarah slumped in her chair, exhausted but smiling. Sometimes the craziest plans work best. As emergency teams began assessing the damage to their ships, one thing became clear. Human ingenuity and courage had just saved thousands of lives. But the mission wasn't over yet. The remaining refugee ships still needed their help, and time was running out. The massive radiation storm had split the refugee fleet in two, with the largest group of ships still trapped in the danger zone. In Hope's command center, Admiral Wong studied the holographic display showing their desperate situation. "We have less than 3 hours before the main storm hits," Sarah Chen reported, her voice hoarse from hours of continuous communication. "And our ship shields are still damaged from the last encounter." Commander Zixel pointed to the cluster of refugee ships. "There are still 20,000 of my people out there. Even with all our remaining transport ships working at maximum capacity, we cannot evacuate them in time." Engineer Lai, who hadn't slept in 2 days, suddenly straightened in his chair. "What if we don't need to evacuate them?" All eyes turned to him. "What if we move the entire fleet at once?" Dr. Miller, watching from another screen, nodded slowly. "The hybrid shields we installed. If we modify them to create a bubble effect, we could protect the entire group of ships during a mass jump." Engineer Patel finished, already running calculations. "But we'd need an enormous amount of power." Admiral Wong turned to Commander Zixel. "Could your ship's power cores handle it?" The alien commander hesitated. "Yes, but linking them would be incredibly dangerous. One mistake, and we could lose everything." "It's our only choice," Captain Rodriguez said firmly. "We either try this, or we watch 20,000 people die." The next 2 hours were a blur of frantic activity. Human engineers worked alongside their Arcturian counterparts, connecting power systems between ships that were never meant to work together. "Like building a bridge while crossing it," Dr. Miller muttered as he connected another power relay. Sarah coordinated the massive operation from Hope's command center. "All ships report ready for power link," she announced. "Beginning final sequence." The fleet of ships, both human and alien, moved into a tight formation. Around them, the radiation storm grew closer, its golden tendrils reaching out like hungry fingers. "Power systems linked," Engineer Lai called out. "Shield bubble forming." A massive blue field of energy began to spread around the fleet, powered by the combined cores of every ship. The hybrid human-alien technology created something never seen before in space. Storm approaching. Sarah's voice was tense. "Impact in 5 minutes." Admiral Wong took a deep breath. "All ships, prepare for synchronized jump. We'll need perfect timing." Commander Zixel touched his arm. "Admiral, if this fails..." "It won't," Wong said firmly. "Today is not the day we fail." The storm hit the shield bubble with tremendous force. The ships shuddered, their linked power cores straining under the pressure. "Shield integrity at 90%. Sarah called out. 85%. 80%. "All ships, jump now," Admiral Wong commanded. The massive fleet moved as one, their combined engines pushing against space itself. The shield bubble glowed brighter as it protected them from the storm's fury. "Power fluctuation in Section 3. Engineer Patel shouted. "The links are starting to fail." Dr. Miller's voice came through the comm. "Rerouting emergency power." "Hold on." The ships pushed harder, their engines screaming with effort. Through the view screens, they could see safe space ahead, just beyond the storm's edge. "Shield integrity critical." Sarah's voice was barely audible over the alarms. "We're losing it." "Just a little more." Captain Rodriguez gritted his teeth, pushing the engines beyond their limits. With a final burst of speed, the fleet broke through the storm's edge. The shield bubble collapsed behind them just as they reached safe space, its job complete. For a moment, there was total silence on the bridge. Then Sarah's voice, filled with disbelief and joy. "All ships accounted for. We did it." The command center erupted in cheers. Humans and Arcturians embraced, their differences forgotten in the moment of triumph. Admiral Wong looked out at the saved fleet, now safely gathered in calm space. "Status report. 20,000 refugees safe," Sarah replied, wiping tears from her eyes. "No casualties. Every single ship made it." Commander Zixel stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "Your people achieved the impossible today. The Arcturian race will never forget this." As the celebration continued around them, Admiral Wong smiled. "Not impossible. Just another example of what we can achieve when we work together." Through the viewport, Earth's distant sun shone like a beacon, welcoming home its children who had just proven themselves worthy of the stars. The sight of Earth growing larger in the view screens brought tears to many eyes. The combined fleet of human and Arcturian ships approached the blue planet, sunlight glinting off their hulls. In orbit, hundreds of satellites and small vessels moved aside, creating a path for the massive alien ships. Home, Sarah Chen whispered, watching her planet grow larger. After 3 weeks in space, the rescue fleet was finally returning with all 50,000 refugees safe. Admiral Wong stood on Hope's bridge, Commander Zixel at his side. News cameras from every Earth nation were broadcasting the historic moment live. Billions watched as humanity welcomed its first alien visitors. "Your world is beautiful," Zixel said, his large eyes reflecting Earth's blue glow. "More beautiful than our records suggested." Dr. Miller, who had joined them on the bridge, smiled. "Wait until you see it up close. The UN has prepared special facilities for your people in several countries." The Arcturian commander turned to Admiral Wong, his silver skin shimmering. "Before we land, I must share something with you." He pulled out a small crystal device. "This morning, I received a message from the Galactic Council." The bridge crew fell silent. Even they knew what this meant. The Galactic Council was the highest authority among spacefaring races. "The Council has reviewed our reports of this rescue mission," Zixel continued. "They were most impressed, especially by how a primitive species achieved what our most advanced civilizations thought impossible." Engineer Lai and Paddle looked up from their stations, pride showing on their tired faces. The hybrid shield technology they had helped develop was already being studied by Arcturian scientists. "The Council has made a decision," Zixel announced formally. Earth is to be immediately recognized as a Level 1 civilization, with full rights to join the galactic community. Sarah gasped. According to the alien databases they'd studied, it usually took centuries for a species to achieve Level 1 status. Admiral Wong raised an eyebrow. "That's quite an honor, but what exactly does it mean for Earth?" Commander Zixel's translator crackled with what sounded like excitement. "It means technology exchange programs, trade routes, cultural missions. Your people have earned their place among the stars." Captain Rodriguez spoke up from his pilot's seat. "And the refugee situation? Will your people stay on Earth?" "Some will," Zixel nodded. "Others will travel to allied worlds. But we request permission to establish a permanent Arcturian embassy on Earth. We have much to learn from each other." Dr. Miller chuckled. "Imagine what we can achieve together. Your advanced technology combined with our, what did you call it? Our primitive but effective solutions." The first landing sites were already prepared. Television crews showed massive crowds gathering in New York, Beijing, London, and other cities, all waiting to welcome their alien guests. Signs in multiple languages proclaimed messages of peace and friendship. "There's something else," Commander Zixel added, almost shyly. "My people have a tradition. When someone saves our lives, they become star kin, eternal allies bound by the cosmos itself." He turned to face the entire bridge crew. "Today, we name all of humanity as star kin to the Arcturian people. Whatever challenges the galaxy brings, we face them together." Sarah's communication panel suddenly lit up. "Sir, we're receiving messages from everywhere. Every major space agency, dozens of governments, even private companies. They all want to participate in the new galactic exchange programs." Admiral Wong smiled. "And so begins humanity's next great adventure." As the fleet began its landing sequence, Engineer Lai turned to Paddle. "Do you think we're ready for all this? Being part of a galactic civilization?" Patil looked at their alien friends, then back at Earth shining below. "Ready or not, we've proved we belong out here. Besides," he grinned, "someone needs to teach the galaxy that sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." Through the viewport, they could see their future unfolding. Earth was no longer alone in the cosmos. They had not only saved thousands of lives, but had also opened the door to humanity's greatest journey yet. Commander Zixel raised his hand in a newly learned human gesture, a thumbs up. "To new beginnings," he said. "To new beginnings," the bridge crew replied in unison, human and alien voices joining together as one, while their ships descended toward a future brighter than any star.